ago. Not a word about the pandemic. Not a word about the fact that the U.S. has now seen a record number of deaths, new cases, and hospitalizations for a second straight day. Here's what we're talking about. 219,000 new cases, nearly 101,000 people in the hospital, and more than 2,800 deaths on Thursday alone. In the past 6 weeks, we've seen more COVID deaths in this country than the total number of U.S. combat deaths in the entire Vietnam War. This morning, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has agreed to stay on as part of Biden's new administration, says we haven't seen even the true impact from the holidays.
I think we have not yet seen the post-Thanksgiving peak. That's the concerning thing, because the numbers in and of themselves are alarming, and then you realize that it is likely we'll see more of a surge as we get 2 to 3 weeks past the Thanksgiving holiday. And the thing that concerns me is that it butts right on the Christmas holiday as people start to travel and shop and congregate.
So where do we go from here? President-elect Biden says once he takes office, he will ask Americans to commit to wearing masks for 100 days to try to bring the numbers down, but it will not be a mandate. Even if the move was to change the trajectory of the virus, it won't kick in for a month and a half. Vaccines won't even start rolling out for weeks. In the meantime, state leaders, local officials, healthcare workers, and everyday Americans are left to fend for ourselves. I want to dig deeper with NBC's Jacob Ward, who's in California, where the state is on the verge of enacting more restrictions. Dasha Burns at Duke University Hospital, where they're preparing to roll out the vaccines. Good to see both of you. So, Jacob, what's going on in California that the governor felt he needed new restrictions? What are they? When do they take place?
Well, Chris, the governor had been intimating for weeks that this was coming, but finally it has arrived. Essentially, he's looking here at a lack of hospital capacity and the worry that, as we had talked about back when we were first talking about flattening the curve, and that phrase first became popular here in California back in March, we're back in that situation again. Here's how the governor decided
all right, guys, good morning.
To impose these new restrictions.
So, stocks we're looking at today is Zoom, JMaya, ADP, and Salesforce, CRM. Now, I am highly interested in Salesforce, CRM, but again, it opened up higher. Well, it's high right now. It's above resistance on the deviation line. Zoom I'm liking because it's already by oversold and has gone down after that little mini run up that it's, well, not mini, I mean it went up from 405, 417. I mean that's an insane run. So I have Zoom on the main chart. I'm really focusing at Jumaya. Again, it's doing the same thing it did yesterday, more or less. So it is kind of at the sweet spot. It's in between the yellow average and support on the deviation lines. And if we take a look at these dotted lines over here, I got both CRM and JMaya pulled up on this chart. So you can see that this So this right here is the resistance from yesterday, meaning that's where it was it was having a hard time surpass that level. It finally did at one point, but came back down. So, and then this is the support right there that it bounced off of until it found another support, which is around here. So we are super close. We're closer to resistance than we are to support. I would love for it to be a little further down here. Preferably, I want this to sell off before anything. But I am liking Zoom more than anything. And then we also have ADP. ADP and Zoom are my first two charts to look at. ADP right now is very close to oversold.
members who will likely be going.
Let me just go ahead and change this real quick.
After this. Now, this is just a small piece of the proverbial orchestra that has to come together here in perfect harmony. Think about just the logistics of the timing. We've talked about those ultra-cold freezers we saw. All
right, so ADP and Zoom are the ones that I'm going to be focusing on today. Zoom, more than anything, Zoom does move huge numbers. Now, when I'm looking at these stocks, obviously I check how the market's doing. So the S&P right now, pre-market, is down. But not by much, just 6%. But the Dow and the Nasdaq are up. So if we were to look at the Nasdaq, it has come down a little bit.
I want you to hear from Jason Zivica.
But
he runs emergency management here, and he has a lot on his mind right now. Take a listen.
Right now, there's a lot of unknowns. We
why.
don't know exactly when they're going to arrive. We don't know exactly how many we're going to get.
All right, good. So UVXY is down. Market goes up, this goes down. Market goes down, this goes up. That's how pretty much it works. So, all right. So, apart from where are you? There you go. So, apart from checking up on rechecking up on the picks I chose for last night, we check the news again. But I also go on Short Squeeze. Short Squeeze is a website that you can type in your ticker symbol. It'll show you right here the interest. So, short interest ratio 2.0, but a decrease of 9%. So ADP looks like it could bounce.
Doctor, good morning. I'm always happy to
all right, looks like it could bounce.
Let me start with Joe Biden.
Let's take a look at Zoom. I already was looking at that earlier.
And said, listen, can you please?
There's a decrease of 2%.
Yes.
And 0.8 short interest ratio. So Zoom's also looking real good. J Maya is still up there as far as shorting it.
And the current administration is still in charge. And the
1.5 and 13%. So J Maya looks like, because I think J Maya is just on a hot streak right now, and maybe he just needs to cool down. But I don't want to get caught in another trap, so I want this to drop just a little bit more. Even though yesterday my strategy told me to get in, and if I was holding more shares of it for that pop of like 30-40 cents that it did, I would have sold it right there. But since we're doing a small account challenge, we want these stocks to move at least what they normally move, $1. So we need to get them right on point. Checking up on the resistance, on the support, where they're at on the deviation lines to help us gauge if it's perfect price to get into, too cheap, why is it too cheap, too expensive, so forth and so on. So you see J Maya is 13%, and then you look at CRM. For some reason, I think when I checked, the short ratio is 37%. So I don't know why, man. I think because of the company they bought. A lot of traders feel that it was way too expensive, $27 billion, but they're already giving Microsoft a run for their money for the news that I read.
The more people you're with,
so
the higher the risk, and also travel. It's hard to say, but frankly, when people travel, the virus travels, and the result is potentially explosive spread. If you go to
I don't know. So we'll see. Zoom is my interest for today.
Less COVID, you're likely to spread it.
But folks like you, Doctor, have put that message out over and over and over again. But the Associated Press just reported this. Let me read it to you. Vehicle travel in early November was as much as 20% lower than a year earlier, but it surged around the holiday and peaked on Thanksgiving Day. It was only about 5% less than the free period in 2019. That's according to Streetlight data. So how do you change?
No, I wouldn't buy Zoom right now.
To be consequences, because clearly seeing so many.
I don't like to buy pre-market because
to convince people to stay home.
I honestly don't know. Like if you look at the whole charts, right, the way we choose when to get in, when to get out. I mean, obviously it's cheap from where it came from, and if we take a look at the 5-day, 5-minute chart. Is what I look at often as well. I go from the 184-hour chart to the 5-minute, and then depending on the stock, I'll go on the daily chart the whole year. See if it has room to go. Like Moderna scares me because Moderna is the highest it's ever gone, ever, and it just keeps climbing. NVAX doesn't scare me because NVAX has ways to go from its all-time high. So, but we take a look at the 5-day. So you can see that we have ways to go for this to reach that resistance right there. That you can see it's already resisted it twice. It hasn't come close to it. I mean, this is where it resisted, or you can say pretty much here, because this is where it came back down to, and it's closer to that. So being that we're already right now at 410, and this resisted around 416, 420, 423, going back 2 days after some good news.
Are we making a mistake if we think all these predictions about time are given?
I think this is just basically a pandemic scare. That's all the vaccine scare. That's what that is. They had great earnings.
Yeah, I've been saying for months, Chris, the road to vaccination is bumpy. Production problems are likely.
So,
Safety signals.
even though it's cheap, right now, our deviation lines are telling us, hey, this is close to oversold, my man. We should start thinking about getting in. There's no news. There's no recent news. The short squeeze interest on this stock has gone down. It's probably because it dropped like almost $76. When was that it did that? I think it did that right here, dude. Like, look. So this is where it came from, 476, and then it went to a low of 403. It's like a $73 drop, man. Insane. And then we had this massive run the very next day from 439 to 420, 394 to 423. It's an insane run. Insane run. So I think this is just vaccine scare. This is what this is right here. I mean, it went up and it went back, it went down. So it does have ways to go from the high that it had from where it came back, from where it came from. You know, coming from this area here, and that's not the all-time highs, man. Let me tell you. You know, it's gone higher than that, which is why I do a few things. Lets me know. So 588 is the high from like what, a month ago, and then I think it's the same on the daily. Yep, it's the same on the daily. So you know, you can see here where I put this trigger at. That's kind of support, and you know, we're closer to that than we are to that. So I'm still feeling that this thing is gonna bounce. So pre-market, like you asked, no, I wouldn't buy pre-market. I don't like buying pre-market. That's the 1 minute chart for the 5. Pre-market's the volume's not there. This is a very expensive stock. The volume's not there. It can drop. The spread on these things can be a big difference. You know, right now the spread on this is 75 cents. So immediately when you get in, you're gonna get in 75 cents or now $1 in the red before you even, you know, make money on this. Alright, so that's where we're at, guys, with, 15 minutes to the bell. So, I will just go down the picks real quick. So Zoom's on the chart right now is what I'm liking. I'm liking Zoom from jump. If it can maintain where it's at right now in the next 15 minutes, which I'm pretty sure it will, even if it goes up to support, I'm still liking, Zoom first. And then we take a look at J-Maya. J-Maya being on the list as well. We can see that J-Maya, so I have this split up. So normally it's three stocks I look at, just 3 stocks. But for this past week, I've been looking at 4. So what I've done is the main two I'm looking at is put it on the first screen right above my buy screen, and then the second main stock on the right top next to this screen. And then on the bottom, I'll have the two. What I have right here is JMaya and CRM, just to see what they're doing. Now, CRM is starting to sell off, which is pretty cool. JMaya looks like it's starting to go up. Now, it's closer to 34.47, which is basically almost the high of what it did yesterday. I mean, remember, it dropped like $3, almost $2, $3. I think it dropped. We can take it. So right, so 334 to like $3, $2 and change is what it dropped before it went up. It did find a support right here as it bounced off here quite a few times before it decided to take that little run up. But it's close to that right there, 34.47, right? So seeing how this thing went up pre-market, we'll zoom out real quick. So it went up, then went down, then went back up, and now it's right there. So, you know, at 33.54. So we'll take a look at 33.54. It's right there, almost at the resistance from yesterday, where it kept bouncing and bouncing off of before it finally broke through, finally going all the way to $35. So I would like for this to drop before I get into this thing.
It's great to see both of you. We were joking, it's the Furman and Sherman show.
That's why Zoom right now is perfect. Why I like it. CRM is starting to sell off, which is pretty cool. So it's a little too high for me. It's right there. Yesterday it opened up high, and then it sold off. So we can see right here, boom, and then climbed up and then went back down. So 223, it seems to be the spot where it keeps going back to. It's been doing that for 2 days already. So we can see it went below that. Now currently it's trading right at that. So even though it's pretty much reaching the support from yesterday, it's reaching the support from yesterday, and there's about $1 difference from the support to resistance. I want this to sell off just a little bit. One being is because if you got a lot of pre-market action like that, you could probably have some bag holders in there that are probably just waiting for the bell to ring to see where it's going to go. And the second they see that candle turn red, or give it at least a couple seconds, boom, they're out, and then that starts to climb down. So yes, I like the fact that it's sold off for the past 3 days now, and that it has potential to grow up, keep going up, because of the news that it has. I mean, about a company to compete with one of the biggest headers out there, Microsoft, man. Microsoft is like king, man. So
said yesterday.
Compromise is within reach.
I'm not sure. It's tempting, man. Because right now ADP would be considered to be just a day trade. That's it. It's cheap enough right now to look at it, to want to get into it, of where it's at right now. If we take a look at the 5-day.
Okay, so the White
The
House
5-day
says,
chart.
That Trump supports the small
Where'd I put you,
Republican
man?
bill, but we've seen some conservative senators express support for this compromise bill. What Grassley, Ernst, Graham, Cornyn, Kramer. Are we at a point, Jake, where there are enough Republican senators who will do what needs to get done, even if the president isn't necessarily on board?
Okay, I done found it. We were looking at ADP, right? So ADP. All right, there you go.
I think I have you here, Chris. I just lost you for a second.
So we could take a look at ADP. The high of ADP is 178, and that was actually last month. So not that far away. It did climb up high. ADP. Oh, this is UPS. I'm sorry. ADP it's at 172. It's about what, $5 away from its high. But I like the fact that it's sold off where it's at. As you can see here, is the last 5 days. So right now it's currently at support. It literally is at support. Well, it went up just a little bit, but it's at support going back from the beginning of yesterday's session. going back 2 days ago. You can see that here it bounced off that it was getting close to it, so finally broke through, came back up. Here it's where it pretty much bounced and just flew. So you can see after reaching this point, it flew. I'm not saying it's going to do that today, but I like the fact that it's doing that where it's at for me to make money. So ADP would be considered to be a 1-day hold, meaning knowing that this thing moves about $1 or so. We'll take a look at yesterday's session as it opened low, a little high yesterday. So from the low of here of 171 to a high of 171.91, and then after this little mini dip right here, it came back up to 172. So about $1 or so change. So if I'm gonna get into this, I'm gonna shave off maybe like 10 cents, maybe, more or less. Seeing that that's what it moved in the short run, but in the longer run, it moved higher. So if I can get this in the right spot, where it's at, it's pretty decent. But I want to see if it sells off a little bit before I jump in this, because then I might just hold this for about 30 minutes. I mean, it took almost an hour just to get to that point right there, man. So I don't know. But Zoom moves pretty fast early morning, and then throughout the day it can continue to go up, but then after maybe drop. But it does have ways to go. So I think we'll see higher highs and higher lows throughout the week. And we can go ahead and take a look at what I'm trying to talk about with that. So this is what I mean. You can see it's having a hard time breaking that right there. As you can see, it went up and above it, right? But it's going higher, but pre-market for some reason it goes down and then it goes up. So I'm thinking the same thing today, as we are close to resistance. So you can see that this was, what I mean by higher highs and higher lows is that the day before, you can see it was having a hard time breaking this, which would make it its support. And they didn't do that yesterday. So it finished a little higher yesterday. So, and then we have ways to go from what it dropped. So I'm liking that.
I don't think Democrats are going to be able to get that. The more they can get, the better. Anything helps there will help us continue to reopen schools safely and the like. Third, some continuation for small businesses makes sense. The numbers they're talking about are actually larger than what's
got my Red Bull going on.
Economic situation right now. That's obviously a politically appealing group.
All right, so Zoom.
Both sides are going to need to compromise. Democrats have moved a lot from the $3 trillion they started at to the $1 trillion they're talking about now. They're obviously going to need to accept something on liability.
Zoom's on the chart, number one chart.
But all of this, something right now is better than nothing. And hopefully you can do more later. Even if you can't, it's better to get something than to get nothing.
What are you guys looking at?
So, Furman Sherman, I like this. I think that we should at least make it a
Zoom.
monthly thing where you come
Okay.
on and the numbers come out. But it's great to see both of you. And thank
ADP?
you for talking about
Remember
this
now,
critical
ADP is about $1 move or so.
guys. And still ahead, while President Trump hasn't conceded.
So when you get in it, I mean, it is low right now where it's at. It is low. I'm not gonna lie to you. We have room to grow there. Now, will it move that dollar in the first 5 minutes? It's possible. I don't know if it will. I mean, it gets close to it. It gets like around 80 cents. It doesn't get there in the first 5 minutes. I mean, if you get it, and you're never gonna get it at the absolute low. When you do that, man, you'll be a millionaire in no time. But I would highly suggest not to do that. But each his own. So ADP went from a low of 170, 171, let's just call it, to a high of 171.96. So over 80 cents in the first. That was 11 minutes.
And we kept going. So you only pay for what you use. Because at Dell Technologies, we stop at nothing.
So zoom, it moves way more in the first couple minutes. You can see here, it did open a little high. It was above resistance, so I wouldn't even have touched it. But you know, if you take a look at these little mini runs, like we'll take a look of this mini run right here, from 405 to 409. It's a $4 run right there, man. You know, you can't beat that. And then it kept going up after that. I mean, I wouldn't have. Well, if I got it that low, I'd be in it right now and probably sell it today, later on today. Give it, you know, some time to grow even more. But because it opened up here, I wouldn't have been interested. But you know, it's at 419 all the way to 405. So that was a pretty massive drop. But this is what this moves. This is what it moves on average, man. It moves $4 or $5, you know, 3, 4, 5 or more. And that's what we're hoping for today as it gets closer to the oversold. On the RSI, it's not at oversold. It's hovering closer to the 50 trend line. So I'm liking the fact that it's doing that. JMaya is literally in between the sweet spot. I mean, it's close to it. It's in between the average and orange support. Salesforce is still a little bit too high for me. Now, Salesforce did drop yesterday at a price that I would have loved to get into yesterday and hold this for maybe a couple of days. But that would happen way at the end of the market yesterday at 220, which is perfectly good. As CRM had time to grow. So we're looking at with about a minute 44 left. Let me grab my Red Bull real quick. Let me grab it. Let's get ready for this. So we can see. I don't buy. I try not to buy at the first bell unless it's really down there and everything else is telling me that it's going to go up.
Guys, breakfast. I'm leaving for McDonald's in 30 seconds.
At just 2 for $4.50.
I try not to buy at the bell. I've done it a few times. I've been successful with it. I'd say it's 50-50 at the bell. Not with these stocks. Maybe momentum stocks. It's good at buying at the bell. I know someone who has a good strategy for that. But not these stocks. I mean, it depends on where they're at.
Like, is this happening to me now?
When I started first seeing the results, I got excited.
I love when you get
It makes me feel a lot more confident. The things I love about
Alright guys, we are approaching the liftoff.
it worked.
Got the news in the background like always, guys, so don't pay no mind to the music. Alright, so let's get Zoom. Zoom looking like the one that's going to be the one for us. I mean, I just might jump in this
More than several.
on the first candle. JMaya selling off. CRM is going up.
I understand the situation they find themselves in. And until the election is clearly decided in the minds where the Electoral College votes, they get put in a very tough position.
And President Trump's communications director, Lisa Farah, resigned yesterday, perhaps the latest acknowledgement from inside the White House that the president did, in fact...
This has room to grow, so...
Joining me now to talk about it is Kelly O'Donnell in Washington, D.C. Mike Memoli is in Wilmington, Delaware with Team Biden. And Robert Kostek is national political reporter for the Washington Post and moderator of Washington Week on PBS.
So I already got it to Zoom, the first candle. We were just talking about the first candle. Do you get in the first candle? The reason I got in the first candle was when my skull crossed on the bottom. It's real close to the 50 trend line. It's all my lines here are touching. So I'm anticipating a bounce and for this just to go up after selling off pre-market as much as it did. So we'll see how far it goes. If it starts to really go up for us. So I'm going to try and sell it around here, 415. That's what I'm hoping it's going to get up to.
The election down there, and they need to have Republican voters motivated. And you saw in Amy Gardner's story in the Washington Post Senator,
So I'm gonna go 415.
Republican Senate to counter President Biden. Should it be President Biden? That's how he articulated it. Of course, it is President-elect Biden. But it shows you that Republicans need to run against that reality to get a motivated GOP base. That's the sentiment I'm hearing from my sources on Capitol Hill.
And it makes sense. So the RNC and Trump raised nearly $500 million since mid-October, Robert.
This might be a 2-day hold.
I mean, these numbers are mind-boggling. It was a crazy race in terms of money anyway, but now you're looking at these kinds of dollars after the election. Most of it, of course, fueled by those misleading election fraud claims. So given that, are we really expecting...
It could very well drop for me
well, it's a revealing
soon.
Portrait of the Republican Party, though.
But I might hold this overnight.
A lot of that money is coming in from President Trump's voters. He's a historic level fundraiser for the GOP, and his grievances, his baseless claims about the election do fuel a lot of money coming into Republican coffers. Republicans know that, and they know that that money equals power in the GOP. So it's not like
right. So
disappear in their eyes. He's going to remain on the scene and remain probably the biggest.
No, I mean,
Republican ranks.
a base hit on this would be exactly that. So maybe $5 is a bit up there. Maybe we can lower that just a little bit. But I do think it's going to get to that point. We'll see. So right now the resistance is right here at 413. So we'll see. We'll see how many times it tests that level before it decides to jump out of it. But I don't think so. Oh, I don't know. The short interest on this is low. It got decreased. So we'll see what happens.
As thin as it's ever been, and so even some of the work that many of these staffers would need to do has greatly been reduced. And so Alyssa Farah will.
We can see J. Maya struggling. Salesforce is starting to sell off.
Really, at every 4 years, when there is a change that, in effect, was unexpected in terms of.
So right here is where I got in. I'm gonna put
this abrupt deadline to try to find their next phase of employment at the end of a planned sort of end of 2 terms. You would still see the run for jobs, and there are limitations. Certainly for Democrats, there will be a lot of opportunities for employment in a Biden administration, and on Capitol Hill, a little more employment on the House
so that's
side,
where I got in.
Increase in number there. But
that pink dotted line right there.
Government-related jobs will certainly be a challenge for many, and many may move out of the area and so forth. But for Alyssa Farah, as the communications director, in her exit letter, she talks about being very proud of many accomplishments of the Trump administration. She also worked at the Pentagon, and so she's got government and defense.
J. Maya's selling off pretty hard. J. Maya's looking real nice to jump into real soon.
Kind of put up her own shingle and move forward. What it says is that there is
I'd rather not jump into two stocks. It's just too much. It's just too much to look at, man.
A news cycle when you have Robert talking about the importance of Georgia and what that means before there is a real thorough reckoning of Donald Trump's presidency.
Right. So ADP.
You begin to see signs like this, which
close to the 50 trend line.
For their lives. And at this point, she is certainly the most prominent person to publicly
on the RSI. So
before the end of the term.
Yeah, Alyssa Farah, we should also note, one of the people who was leaving on good terms. In fact, the president tweeting this morning that she did a fantastic job. So an endorsement from President Trump. So Robert,
and that may trigger others, right?
Right, absolutely.
Maya signing off hard, is approaching oversold. It's going to oversold right now. Ooh, so tempted to jump in here.
President-elect's interview yesterday was Joe Biden asked about the importance of Donald Trump attending his inauguration, and I want to play what he had to say.
I think it would important only in one sense, not in a personal sense. Important in the sense that we are able to demonstrate at the end of this case that there is peaceful transfer of power.
All right, so we see here that it's having a hard time breaking that. So I'm gonna go ahead and
personally, he says,
and give it time. If it doesn't break it on this time around, I am gonna sell it right there. I'm gonna sell it at that point right there.
This is a man who ran on, and now who his transition is about, frankly, a return to the kinds of norms and caring about what the rest of the world, how they see us, and the constitutional mandate, this transfer of power, Robert?
Well, the constitutional mandate is a peaceful transfer of power, but it's not a constitutional mandate for the incumbent.
And we were done for the day, guys. That's an awesome day right there. So we're now 3 days green with the small account challenge, ladies and gentlemen. So I sold this at $4.15. Reason being was because I got it right here, closer to the oversold. My lines told me to get in right there. I let it grow just a little bit. My skull on the bottom crossed. It was going above the 50 trend line on the RSI, and then I got in. I decided to sell it right there, being that once it broke this support, this level of resistance right here, this yellow average, I was giving it a third attempt. As we can see, it broke above it, but just couldn't hold it. So I do think that this is going to end up going higher at one point. But it being Friday, now I was ready to excuse me. I was ready to hold this overnight, but you got the weekend, and then anything can happen over the weekend. I mean, some news can break out over the weekend, and it could cause the stock to massively drop. So when you're like if you're holding this long term, any stock, if you're holding a stock long term, and that's your intention to hold it long term, months, years, whatever, then whatever happens over the weekend, whatever, you ride the waves, you ride that wave. Some news, someone chatter all over is telling you that it's going to be, this thing's going to grow and you're going to hold on to it for a couple months, then, that's great. But if you're swing trading it, the swing trade should initially be between the 5 days of the trading week. So, say you buy it on Monday and try to hold it until maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday as a stretch, depending how much money you want to make on it. Really, a lot of things depend on that. But
Mike Memo, it's good to see you guys. Thanks as well. We appreciate it. Up next to Georgia.
I don't plan on holding these long term, but I was planning on holding Zoom for a couple of days. I do think that Zoom's going to reach for 420 today, at least 418. Not for sure, but it should get closer to this area here, to this green area right here. I'm pretty sure it'll get to that point, maybe past that point, but I really don't like to hold something over the weekend, although I was prepared to hold this over the weekend, but I just wasn't planning on it. So, and then we see the rest of our stocks that we're looking at today. We see that ADP looking like it's is starting to curl up, which is great. Now remember, ADP is just about a dollar mover or so, and it'll take a while to get to $1. It could.
Tremfya, uncover clear skin that can last. Janssen can help you explore cost support options.
Before Voltaren arthritis pain gel, my husband would have been on the sidelines. But not anymore.
An alternative to pills.
The market is still green.
Prescription strength non-steroidal inflammatory gel to target pain directly.
Market's green, guys. I like Salesforce where it's at right now. Shop, huh? You like that stock? Yeah, a lot of people like that stock. Shop is good. Look at that. Already, what a nice, beautiful run. Now, yes, I would have got in there. Definitely, knowing that Shop moves. Look, Shop. Look, I mean, this is insane. From 1060 to the low of 1079. I mean, $19 in 11 minutes. 10 minutes. That's insane. I love this stock. I love this stock. All right. You done for the? Who's done for the day besides?
To support a strong immune system,
Nice.
the body needs routine.
No, I wasn't even looking at that one. I heard. You know what? I was. Man, you are bold. Well, everything's set to get in, so you know.
Wow. A new Buick for me?
Two James.
It's a bold move right there, my man. But yeah,
Buick? Secret Santa myself?
very bold move.
I have been very good this year. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Don't forget you this holiday season. Get an S.
That's insane. Bold move. Yeah, it's doing almost what it did yesterday. With the only exception is that it did move. It did Adobe open at the
70% of the soils on the clothes are invisible.
at the resistance.
You see the invisible dirt deep down. Try new Tide Pods hygienic.
But yeah, you're right.
For a deep clean, just toss in a pack. Formulated.
I mean, look how far down your yellow line is from those stocks. It's gapping away. We want that. We want your yellow line to gap away from your blue and your pink. Because when you see that, that's good price action right there. J Maya's looking tempting to jump into, hold on to that for a couple of days. And look at ADP. Nice. Anyone get into ADP? No? Yeah, it's a slow mover, but look at this, man. Look at this move on ADP. So from the low of 171 to 170, almost $2 right there. But it's just the volume on this is just horrible.
And 1 gram of sugar. Ensure max protein with nutrients to support immune health.
This morning, both parties have the big names working it in Georgia, 1 month out from the state's critical Senate runoffs. Former President Obama will headline a virtual event for Democrats John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock today. Vice President Pence campaigns for Georgia's 2 Republican senators in Savannah.
Now,
President Trump will hold a rally.
This is what I'm talking about, support and resistance, right? So basically,
NBC's Blaine Alexander has been all over this story. She's in Atlanta for us.
you can see it's having a hard time breaking this. We did have that massive jump of the Bulls and the Bears battling out when the Bears actually just won that battle on this candle where I sold. So I sold at 415, basically right there on the tip of that candle, or that wick right there. You can see he's having a hard time breaking this resistance right here. So me keeping my trigger for that jump was good. I do think that because it did that already, that it's going to do it again. But it's having a hard time breaking that. So this gave you multiple times to sell it if you were holding and hoping that it was going to go past that. So it gave you 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So, you know, you get that 4th try, go for it. Definitely go for it. So CRM is doing the same thing it did yesterday, man. It's hovering right here at resistance on the DCRs, the deviation lines. And it's doing that same thing as it did yesterday. So we take a look at what it did yesterday. As yesterday, it opened up a little bit higher as well. It pretty much stayed steady right there, and then went down, stayed steady at that point, and then it went up just a little bit, but then ended up just going down after that. So, and then it had a massive jump in the pre-market, and then it went up. And then it went up, and then now it's climbing back down. So basically, it's going back to support. So I would like CRM closer to the yellow average if I'm going to jump in on this. But I'm also liking J Maya. J Maya has a nice. I think J Maya is going to hit 34.47. Yeah.
As of yesterday, Georgia has already surpassed the 1 million mark for the number of absentee ballots requested in these runoffs. Chris. All right, Blaine, thank you for that. I want to dig deeper with Greg Bluestein, political reporter for the Atlanta Journal and Constitution. So Looney Tunes.
Yeah, for sure. So yesterday we did like 9+. Today we did 9+. We did here's the buy screen right here.
Yeah, I mean, Blaine hit the nail on the head there.
You see that? 9.95, the buy screen. So we're taking these base hits. I got 2 shares of this, guys. 2 shares.
That it's okay to go back out and return
2 shares and made almost $10. So you take these base hits, right? And you know, build your capital up, man. You know, little by little. Don't jump into something. Don't chase the stock. Let the stock come to you, man.
Republicans can't afford any of their base to stay home in January.
Yeah, I mean, you can expect a traditional message, right, from Mike Pence. The president, however, on Saturday, maybe not so much. Are you hearing any nervousness from Republicans that he may just spend all his time?
Wow, NVAX. Look at that. NVAX is looking real nice to jump into right now.
What they want to hear Trump say is that a vote
What's the 5-day chart looking like?
to vote for him. What they fear he'll do instead is focus more about his election grievances, about his false claims of a rigged vote, of his systemic.
I'm not gonna lie, I would like NVAX to drop $5, but I don't think it's going to do that. I think it's found its support. I don't see any recent news on this. Is there any recent? Yes, there is.
Democratic side, we just heard about the number of mail-in ballots that have been requested. And what about President Obama's virtual visit today? Does that help? Does the fact that he's not there mean it might not be so impactful? Give me a read on the Democratic side.
Yeah, well, Democrats are trying to unite and re-energize that same base that led them to a Joe Biden victory in the state for the first
time. So here's the headliner on the recent news on NVAX. This is why I volunteered for the Novavax COVID-19 vaccine trial, and I am still cheering for the underdog. When did Novavax become the underdog of the vaccine makers? That's insane, man. You see how news can just change like that? Just a couple days ago, they were talking about how they might be the first vaccine out there.
I think we're topping, what, $300 million. And then Karl Rove is raising crazy money for Republicans. Where is all that money going?
So what this is someone saying that they took the vaccine.
What are you seeing in terms of the impact of those kinds of dollars?
What I'm seeing in Georgia is every time you turn on a TV, every time you turn on your car radio, every time you watch Netflix or a streaming platform, you see these ads. $300 million alone just on TV spending right now. That doesn't count all the other money that's spent on mailers.
So this is somebody saying that they went and took the vaccine about a month ago.
The TV back and forth, the ads just neutralize.
It doesn't say how he's doing. So, oh yeah, it says here.
Campaigns and their allies are building.
Greg Bluestein, always love reading your stuff at ajc.com. Thank you.
I'm reading the news on this on Novavax.
Public health anger toward doctors and health officials is rising in rural communities. We'll take you to one town where it could impact the rollout of a vaccine.
We're all finding ways to keep moving. And at Fidelity, you'll get planning and advice to help you prepare for the future without sacrificing what's most important to you today. Because with Fidelity, you can feel confident that the only direction you're moving is forward.
Who is USAA made for? It's made for him, a veteran who honorably served. And it's made for her. She's serving now. We also made USAA for military spouses and their kids. Become a member. Get an insurance quote today.
Hi, folks.
So that's kind of mixed news. It's like it's kind of saying that they're having more people volunteer for this for the vaccine, but that they're not going to show the results for like maybe a couple months.
I called to get dental, transportation, meals, and the gift back benefit. They helped me so much.
With this virus situation, I called to get everything I'm entitled to. I couldn't believe I was missing out on so many benefits.
With the uncertainty of the virus, you need to get everything you're entitled to.
You know, I like where it's at right now. I'm not going to lie. I like where Novavax is at. Novavax is actually
Don't miss the deadline. Call now.
in a beautiful spot right now where it's at right now. It's sold off massively. I mean, I'm assuming that it's sold off because of this. I mean, it's not bad news, but it's not good news either. I mean, it's like mixed. It's mixed news. And the thing with these
fighting an uphill battle.
biotech stocks, man,
So when I heard about
like,
the Plot digital skills courses,
I'm not a biotech trader. There's a lot of them, and I know a few of them. I chat with them I chat with a few of them on a daily basis. Like, this is all they trade. It's just biotech stuff. It requires a lot more fundamental of a strategy. So you go on their you go on the website. I think it's pharmasomething.com. Actually, I can find it for you if you're interested in that. I mean, yeah, you gotta diversify, as a trader. You shouldn't just have one sector. I mean, you should mix it up, gas, tech, retail, stuff like that, e-commerce. Mine is about 75% tech. The rest of them on there, it's, I can diversify if need to. You gotta have it because you never know when the market's gonna be real cold, and not every stock will go down with it. It'll drop somewhat, but it'll have more upplay than downplay. So I have quite a few. But with the biotech stocks, man, look, my concern is that these things are going up because of the vaccine. So the hype is not done yet because now they have to deliver this shit. But it's going to take they say it'll take maybe end of December for it to come out. Hopefully that's true. We need it. But my thing is, when that gas runs out, where the fuck is this thing gonna go? Is it gonna go up because the vaccine worked and we're doing good, or is it gonna go down because traders in the market say, the gas on this is ran out, so we're gonna just get rid of all our shares? I mean, this thing went up massively in a matter of weeks, man. Whenever they announced the
understaffed and underfunded before the pandemic are being pushed to their limits.
The vaccine, I should say.
Frontline workers. In fact,
look,
across the country, more and more conservative leaders in communities are pushing back on restrictions and mask mandates. Antonio Hilton.
This is where it was at. This is an $80 stock.
Or anger at health professionals.
Not saying that it was always there. This is a 10-day chart, 30 minutes. Okay.
Dr. Jennifer
Now,
McKenney is one of only 5 doctors at
this was higher at one point.
hospital in Fredonia, Kansas.
This reached a high of, I think, like 190 something. I think it was. We can actually take a look at that real quick.
Responsible for planning
About 198, and it went all the way down to 82 bucks. But pretty much that's where it was trading at. Now, it jumped because of the vaccine news. It started going higher and higher. And then, it took this dump here, and that's pretty much where it's trading at right now. So it's like it's confused. Like, should we wait? Should we not wait? What direction should we go? Because we took this massive run up right here, and then a massive sell. Pretty much gave everything back. But it did the previous day. From the previous day, but still up compared from days prior to that. So they're risky, man, because if something happens with whatever they created, then that can just go down massively. Like, you ever seen those movies where the head hedge fund manager is running away because he did some kind of thing with a stock, and you see the stock just. That's how I see biotech stocks. Like, in one day it can just dramatically sell off, man. And I'm just afraid of that. Although NVAX is a strong company. They come out with many different types of medicines and shit. But just don't know, man. I do like where it's at right now, I'm not gonna lie.
We heard this is a lot, and how are they going to pay their bills, and we don't. I know.
So I would have got on this candle as it dropped just a little bit and then went up. So basically at 126.97, and then still. I mean, I like it because look, you can make money on Novavax even if something like that happens. I mean, we're gonna get the news. The insiders get the news before we do. When I mean insiders, I mean the exchanges, people at the exchanges. They get this news a lot quicker than we do, but not by much. They'll get it before we do. They can react to the news faster than we can. So we're already underdogs when it comes to the updates on any stock that we look at. So the only thing we can do is if you're not an indicator user, you know price strength, you know how to read the level 2 real good, and you start seeing stuff fly in. You know, when you see a big number on an expensive stock like this, you know that's something's coming, man. Something's coming. You know, so when you see a big number on the bid, you know, someone trying to sell a massive amount of shares, then you know something's up. So you have to look at everything. When you don't have to look at the level 2 when it comes to like ADP. I mean, you should if you can read it, but it does help. But you don't need it. But you know, like these big stocks like Shop and Netflix and Tesla and all that. You know, the bid and the ask, the level 2. You know, I mean. When you see you're not going to see large numbers on there. You'll see 2-1, 2-3, 2-1, stuff like that, which is the regular amount of shares that you'll see being bought or sold on the level 2. But you know, with a biotech stock, it is expensive compared to some other ones. A lot less cheaper than the ones we were just talking about, Shop, Tesla, Adobe, and them. But these guys is the 100s or whatever, and say they get the news before we do, you really have to pay attention to the level 2, because again, they'll get the news right before we do. You know what? Now's the time to jump into this motherfucker. Wow, I can get like, I have enough for like a share, to be honest with you, but to ride this up for whatever, I mean, look what it did yesterday. It's already close to what it did yesterday. I mean, yesterday, 128.96. It's already there. For me to jump in right here, right now, to just make $1, not worth it, man. I like where it's at. To be honest with you, it seems like this is the level of resistance that it's at right now. So we can see right there that even at the second candles when things started to turn, and then it came back up, popped over that, came back down. So I think it'll get. This is not right now. I would wait for maybe a little like this, a little sell-off. Although I don't know if it's even worth it to jump in right now. I don't want to chase it.
Take on RA. Talk to your rheumatologist about Rinvoq relief. Rinvoq. Make it your mission. If you can't
Oh, it's gonna definitely break the resistance of yesterday. That's the resistance of yesterday, 128.96. It's gonna break that for sure, as it just did right now. It's at 129 right now. So now we look at for that to reach this level here, which is 129.71. That being the next level of resistance, as you can see on the first candle. That's where as high as it went, and then it tried to reach that 3 more times. It broke it on the fourth attempt, and then it just went down from there. Then this next level of resistance that it's currently having trouble breaking was resistance from back here, from this candle, and this candle, as it broke and popped up over here, and now right now it is trading slightly above it, and we'll see. So the next level of what I think it'll hit before it'll come back down maybe is this 129.71 level, that being the resistance from open as it dropped. But we do have right now currently a $4 run from its low.
Personally restored the sight of over 35,000 people. No money in this world can pay for the happiness.
So yeah, so it's having a hard time breaking that level of resistance. I mean, it broke it. It popped up over it, and now it's right at it. So it already had a $4 run. Now we know NVAX can trade higher. We take a look at yesterday's. So being that this level of support right here, that it came down twice after a pop, so if we were to take it at this point right here at 125 all the way to 129, So that's a $4 swing. Even if you take it to this low here at 124 to 129, you know, and then as you can see, it just couldn't break that level right there. It just traded underneath that level. Had a hard time before selling off, and I don't know if it went back up to it. Let's see, it did pop right above it, but way during almost about 15 minutes before the bell rang, and then it sold off, and then it just, you know. So
this is where the country is right now.
I like the fact that it opened up here. As you can see, it's having that hard time breaking that level of resistance. So I would like for this to sell off just a little bit, write it up for maybe another $1.50, $2. Being that it already had a $4 run, I would like it to drop at least half of that, knowing that it can go back up at least half that. So, seeing that this is a $4 or $5, it's what it did yesterday, and the previous day it did run up $4 or $5, up to $10, $20 as it did that one day.
Nancy Pelosi this hour. The question: will Americans and businesses get economic relief before we hit 2021?
So right now it's struggling with support on the deviation lines.
Jackson in Washington with a lot to cover today. Starting off with NBC's Jake Ward in Oakland, California.
I might not get in. To get one share, for me, being that it's not worth it. I'll overstay my welcome. It's already ran up $4. It's just gonna go. I think it's going to drop. I wanted to drop $2 I wanted to give back some of that run that it did. Half of it. Because then I know it can go back up to those $2. So if I already missed this run, this $5 run, and I would have basically got it on this candle here, probably midway at 126. Saw it right here at 129 for a $3 and change run. I would have gotten it right there. But since I didn't get in, and it already ran up $5, I want this to give half of it back before I get in, and then I want every indication telling me to do that. Okay, so right now it gave back. So from this low here at 125, I want it to be at 121. Yes, I want it to be at 126, 126, 127 even, to be honest with you. Looks like it found its support, so it's bouncing off support from the deviation lines. I don't know if this is going to keep going higher today. I don't like holding biotech stocks overnight unless I catch them way low, you know, and then put a trailing stop on it. As it goes up, whatever vaccine or medicine that they've come out with to help them make money. I'm just curious to see. I'm going to put a price alert here. I like to see, you know, I would do something like this. Just, you know, you test your knowledge to see, you know, when you start to understand price action. So for me, personally, I'm going to put two price alerts. I'm going to put one here at the resistance that stocks tend to go to resistance as well. So for me, I want to see if it tests the 2911 mark again. That's where it's been testing as it comes back down. It popped over it twice. It wanted to go for a nice run. It didn't do it. It went back down, and then it tried it again. It popped over just a little bit, but then went back down. It looks like it wants to do it again. I think that this is going to drop down. I would love for it to drop right about here, this level here. So a 120, 127. I'm going to put a price alert there as well, just to see if that was right. So if it does drop to that, then I would get in and probably hold this out for maybe for the whole day. But I don't know. So we're seeing right now it's going back up towards that level that I was having a hard time breaking.
once each region falls below 15% capacity, that means that these restrictions will go into effect for about 3 weeks. Now, of course, Hallie, this is not going to be as easy as everyone just doing.
So level 2 shows that it's gonna. It looks like it might pop up over it.
Efforts to try to restrict indoor places of
but
worship. Well, yesterday, a federal judge's rule on that here in California was vacated, essentially, by the Supreme Court, setting up a fight. It may mean that some churches will refuse to do this. Some counties may not choose to comply, and that's why the governor is then talking about possibly
right now it's the level 2.
Denying state funding to counties that don't comply, and certainly when it comes to things like churches, there's going to be some gritty enforcement questions to sort out here. So a lot of restrictions going into place all of a sudden to head off a crisis here in California, Hallie.
So
no, this is gonna the Bulls are winning the battle from what I can see. Nope, it goes. Now the Bears are winning.
North Dakota. They've been incredibly busy. They say that right now the number of calls they are running, about 70 to 80% of those are what they call true COVID calls. That means they're not suspected COVID. They are finding out before or after they get patients.
So the reason I like to get in and out in the first 30 minutes, preferably when I'm trading, is because one, the majority of the volume is in the first 30 minutes. And stocks tend to have more of a downside than they do an upside. What I mean by that is they'll go down more than they will go up most of the time. So a stock could go up on average, say $2-3, but it'll on whatever news or whatever's going on with the stock that's making it drop, it'll drop $6. Hard to reclaim those $6. Like I've seen few stocks do that. Like I've seen Shop do that. I've seen W do that. Baba do that. Stocks like that. But sometimes they don't reclaim that $6 drop. But it can go up $3 to try to at least cut half of the loss off.
It's bad. These guys are tired. These guys are conditioned to do a very difficult.
So knowing that, I try to get in and out in the first 30 minutes or so, if I can. But there are some stocks that just move a little too slow. Like Nvidia is a slow mover. It's a great mover, but it's a slow mover. Even in the first 30 minutes, the most it'll go is maybe about $3-4 in the first 30 minutes. It could go higher, but because that's the average, I'm expecting that to move just that. Now, if everything tells me to get in, my indicators are working well. When I mean working well, I mean they're underneath everything, absolutely everything is telling me to get in the stock, then I would get in the stock. And just hold it to reach or stay in the stock, I should say, hold it until it tells me to break it. But if it's not doing that, and I did buy it at a good price, at a level I believe was cheap enough to get into, knowing that it moves slow, I might hold it until a trigger I believe it can get to after a massive $6 drop, knowing that it can reclaim at least half of that. I'll put a trigger there, maybe 50 cents below, just to be conservative. But so they have more of a downside going down than they do up for some reason. Now, they all don't do that. Some stocks can go up $20-30 and just drop $4 or $5 from that $20-30 that it went up to. But more stocks tend to go down by more than they do up on average. So
bipartisan framework, price tag of $908 billion. Framework being the operative word there.
Right, I wasn't looking at Roku, but this was a nice move. Who got into Roku?
Beelzebub lurks in the details. Not everybody sees eye to eye on some of the policy disagreements still getting hammered.
So, I'm going to assume you're using the strategy. So, this candle here would have been the candle you got into. So, 288. And I don't know if you sold here. It's still a $2 move, unless you probably held it until it broke this level of resistance, as it did it already.
Between now and next week,
But you sold it at resistance.
I have urged
Nice.
to get something done by the end of next week.
Right, because it does that. You see, very nice. See, this is the whole reason I have the zoomed out chart as well, because it tells me more or less where it can go if things look good. There's no news on this saying that that's going to go down. We do know that it does move this amount. I mean, that's an $8 move, $7 move right there.
Where's that conversation going to go? What are you starting with in those conversations?
Yeah, about a $6 move, man. Real nice.
Well, I think the Speaker and Mr. Schumer, the leadership,
Seeing that it tapped resistance twice before it went down. It took most of the day to tap it 2 more times again. Very nice, man. That's some good money. Support and resistance is very important. To understand support and resistance, very important, guys. So let's take a look at the stock that we traded today and see if it surpassed our level. Did it go past that level I was having a hard time breaking? No, it did not. Not saying that it won't do that. It can very well do that.
We're going to all put aside any other interest and work solely on that objective, as well as funding the government, which is also critical not only to the economy, but also to the disaster relief program.
Right, so
we're just showing our viewers on screen what is included in.
You should always have an exit strategy. I do my exit strategy based on 1, what I'm comfortable losing, 2, how much the stock moves. So let's just say, for example, I get into a stock, and the stock that I'm trading moves $3 on average. It's been doing that. It does that on average. It can go a little higher sometimes, but say it moves $3 on average. I get into it at a right price. Everything told me to get in, and then it drops. Now, knowing that it does a $3 move, if it drops $2 from what I got in, or $1.50, I'll keep on it. Like my sell trigger will probably be about $3 below. If it reaches those $3, then I probably get out, because that's the average of when it moves up and when it moves down. So let's just say that it goes down $2.50 from what I bought at, $2.50. So what I'm gonna look to do is I'm gonna look to sell it just $1 above that price, because then that'll be about a $2.50, $3 move on the upside. Sometimes the stocks don't regain its full amount of money that it dropped. Sometimes it gains half that. So, that would be my strategy there. I would lower my trigger just by a little bit, knowing that it's having a hard time reaching and breaking a certain level, which is where support and resistance comes in. So if it goes down, my exit strategy would be about the average of what it moves, knowing that these stocks can can go down a lot more than that. Now, you could bag hold some of these stocks. I recommend against it unless your plan is to make more money off of it. So then it doesn't really consider to be a bag hold. You're considering this to be a swing trade, because you got in at the right price, at the right time. Everything's set to get in. Support, resistance, your indicators, and it just happens to go the other way for you. But being that you did your homework, that the stock is still trading low and it has more upside potential than it does downward, it just happened to go down at that moment, then yeah, I would hold this. You could hold this overnight for a decent gain. But if it starts to go down and my intentions were not to hold this, then I would sell it. But if my intentions were maybe I might want to hold this a couple days and it goes down, then I'll hold it. Becomes a swing trade. Everything you did, all the research you looked at, tells you it's a swing trade. I mean, it could be a swing trade. I mean, you would hope to make your money that you want to get to that day, being that it has a potential to do that you've seen it's done that a couple days, then yes.
I have to ask you before you go about the National Defense Authorization Act, that hugely important defense.
I'm not much of a swing trader. I do have a long-term account and a
are not held legally
swing
liable
trading
for things
account.
posted by other people on
As
their
we can
platforms.
see, J
So
Maya
maybe
just sold
there's two
off
things
real
President
nice.
Trump
Now
does
J
not
Maya
like.
might be a
And this
stock I'm gonna
kind
get
of
into.
rebuke to him. It
J
does
Maya
not
is
repeal Section
currently
230,
at
like he's been calling
oversold.
for. And it does include changes to Confederate base names, which he's been opposed to. Do you think, are you confident that
Why
this
is this
gonna
thing
have
selling
bipartisan
off
support
that
to override a
much?
presidential veto?
I mean, even Kramer's talking about how good this stock is.
Senator Inhofe, the Republican chair of the Armed Services Authorization Committee, said 230 did not belong in the bill. That's a policy that's not in the venue of their committee, and as a result, he thinks it ought not to be in there, and urged the president not to veto over that.
Now you see how much this dropped?
Specifically clear, he wasn't going to put it in the bill. On the base naming part of the bill, I said I would not put the bill on the floor if that Senate approves, 93% of the Senate approved this bill that had that language in there, and I said I would not put it on the floor unless that language was in there. And I'm very glad that Senator Inhofe and Adam Smith, who had great leadership on this particular issue, made sure that the provision providing for the renaming of bills of bases from the names of those who committed treason against the United States and fought to enslave the black soldiers.
This did drop massively, man.
And Air Force personnel that would serve on those bases won't have to serve on a base that's named for somebody who wanted to enslave them.
Okay, House
So I think
Majority
it's
Leader
a good-
Leader Hoyer making. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off there, sir. I know there's a bit of a delay.
You're kind not to do that. I think that's
All right, thank you, Leader Hoyer.
speaks to the values of our country.
So I might have made a mistake on this. I don't like to overtrade, but we'll see what happens. This thing did drop massively. So I'm going to probably go ahead and not to waste all my money that I've made today. I'm going to see if...
Leader Hoyer, thanks again. After the break, new details emerging on that suspected pardon scheme involving associates of President Trump. The New York Times now naming those being investigated by the Justice Department based on their reporting. Next up, we'll talk to one of the people behind that scoop. And
so this is at
Obama diving into Georgia's Senate runoffs today. The head of the state's Democratic Party will
support
talk with us about
from yesterday.
President Obama's impact
The low
on
of
race
yesterday.
I got you, don't worry.
I've got good guidance.
This holiday season, hurry in to the BMW Road Home Sales event and find your way home in the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in to receive a credit of up to $3,500 on select models through December 31st. Here you go, let me help you.
Hi, Mr. Charles. We made you dinner.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I jumped into this because it was real low. My lines were about to cross. It's at oversold. It already hit oversold twice. It's jumping with the oversold marker right now, being that this is the level of support that it's at right now. That's the level of support.
No more worrying if you can afford a breakdown. No more expensive parts and labor. No vehicle inspection. No credit checks. Plus, you can pick any ASC certified mechanic or dealership to fix
So I'm gonna run this. See, hopefully it goes up for me. Everything told me to get in it, so I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try and sell it right here at 32.16. See if it goes to 32.16.
Go farther. Call CarShield now for your free instant quote.
Call 800-231-3501. 800-231-3501. Vicks Vapo Patch. Easy.
I want to take a little mini base hit on this. I'm thinking that that's where it's gonna go up to. I can go further than that. I mean, this has the potential to make to fly high. Out there, it sold off. I mean, it took a minute for it to sell off, man. It took almost an hour for this to sell off. I think it can go higher. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go lower. I do think it's going to go higher from what I sold it at. I'm planning on selling it. But being that Jemaya is a stock that I don't mind holding overnight, but I don't want to sell.
Wherever you go this holiday, Chevy can help you get there.
Which is why we're making our Chevy employee discount available to everyone.
The Chevy price you pay is what we pay.
Not a cent more. So wherever you go, happy holidays from Chevy.
Use the Chevy employee discount for everyone to get over $6,800 below MSRP on this Equinox.
Get the Chevy employee discount for everyone today.
It was time someone made a better wallet, so we did. This is the Ridge. Precisely engineered to fit all your cards and cash in a fraction of the space. Handmade from military-grade materials, so we can guarantee it for life. Get 10% off today at ridge.com/TV.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to readers.com. Choose from hundreds of styles and colors for under $20. And now, enter this exclusive TV coupon code at checkout to save up to 40%. That's readers.com.
New details this morning of a potential pay-to-pardon scheme involving some associates of President Trump's. The New York Times is now reporting names of those linked to the Justice Department investigation, which may include a top Trump fundraiser. We should point out nobody's been charged, but here's the deal, and check out this flowchart to help explain it. According to the Times sources, Abby Lowell, a lawyer for the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and fundraiser Elliot Brody were investigated. San Francisco billionaire real estate developer Sanford Diller allegedly looked for their help in getting clemency for somebody else, this Berkeley psychologist named Hugh Barris. Barris was handed a 30-month prison sentence for tax evasion. The Times says court documents show somebody approached the White House
like we sold it.
to make sure the clemency petition got into the right hands. So far, no comment from the White House. President Trump tweeted this pardon investigation as fake news. A lawyer for Elliot Brody denies the allegations, saying, quote, Mr. Brody is not...
Right, I sold it a little sooner than I wanted to, than my original. It was like 12 cents away from what I sold it at. The reason I sold it there was because I saw that I was having a hard time breaking this level right here. As it attempted it already once over here in this candle right here, and it was having a hard time on the candle that I sold it at, and the previous one was having a hard time. Now, is it going to break it? Yeah, I think it will break it. I think it'll go higher. I think this is going to reach here. I think it'll go to. I think it'll go back to this level here.
Michael, great to have you on the show. Thanks for being back.
And then I think it'll pass this level here.
Take us a little deeper into the players allegedly involved and what they're accused of trying to do here.
Well, that was a really good way of laying it out. I like that graphic. It made a lot of sense. It was helpful. It's not the easiest story to get your head around. Look, at the most basic level, the problem with this scheme, this attempted scheme, which ultimately didn't turn out in a pardon or clemency for this individual who was seeking it, is that Donald Trump has treated pardons and commutations like, White House party favors and giveaways.
One of my lines told me to get in. The skull was about to cross. The pink line, as you can see where I bought it at, was already hovering over, so I kind of anticipated that run, and it did bounce for me. So I felt comfortable anticipating the run because, one, it was already at oversold. Being this blue line here is already at oversold. It was already struggling to break that on this candle right here as it popped over, and then popped up and then back down just a little bit. So knowing that it's doing that on the RSI, as you can see here, it popped up, came back, and it was just struggling with that line, and I kind of figured it was going to pop up. But the reason that I want to hold anything over being that it's Friday, the fact of the matter is that noticing that this candle here was where it was having a hard time breaking it. It had a hard time breaking it right here. I sold it on this candle here to give me a gain of like $1 and change. So it puts me up about $11 for the day. You take these little mini base hits, you build your capital more and more, and then you can start making 50, 100, and then hundreds from there and more from there. It is an exciting thing to do, man.
It's also not necessarily illegal to give a donation to a president after getting a pardon, right?
Yeah, it's an area that does not have a lot of the regulation that I think people would think that it would have. I think people think of Washington as a place where there's a lot of
I don't do the Momo anymore, man. Just too risky.
For people with money or corporations to buy influence. It's there are reporters.
Wow, that flew up massively.
Question of influence peddling, and in the case of pardons, lobbying for them, it comes up, but not all the time. Pardons.
I do have a strategy for Momo stocks. Like I said, they're very risky. I do. There's a friend of mine that also has a strategy for Momo stocks that tends to work pretty good for him. But as successful as he has been with that, and halfway successful, I would say, with myself with the Momo stocks, it's still risky. I mean, we can take a look at the stock that you're talking about. Most of these stocks, these Momo stocks, they do their run pre-market. Obviously, this is stock that I used to look at back in the day. As you can see, all these trend lines right here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of all these.
Up next here on the show,
14, damn it.
It really does. The Director of National Intelligence revealing it.
So this was
human testing to create biologically enhanced super soldiers. Oh yeah. Coming up, why John Ratcliffe says China poses the preeminent national security threat to the U.S. But before that, both sides pulling out big-time star power today in those Georgia Senate races. We'll take you there live on the ground after the break.
It's my lucky hat. It's what I wear. It's a hat I made for my business, my hat business. I have a few here, as you can see, and this one here. I have a hat business with my cousin. So, where's my lucky hat? I swear, it's my lucky bracelets. I never take these off. This is my work bracelet. And this is my bracelet that I made custom. And then up here I have pictures of my kids. I look at those every morning before I trade. Kind of like a ritual, a little routine I do. But, so, talk about the Momo stocks. So, my strategy with the Momo stocks was... and then I was talking about my friend's strategy, but so Momo stocks tend to go up pre-market. So this thing ran up after hours from 174 to a high of 391. It's a massive move, and then pre-market it dropped just a little bit to go up higher. So my strategy would always be to lose momentum pre-market as it did here, preferably trading underneath the 200 moving average. And if I was to put the VWAP on here to give you, because I use the VWAP for Momo trading, so just to go ahead and show you. So let me go ahead and just go and so this I'm going to make the color green, the upper band, and we're going to make that color light blue. The lower band we're going to get rid of. I don't need the lower band. Okay, so my strategy was, if it was hovering underneath the 200 moving average and there's a gap between the candles and the top VWAP or the middle VWAP, then I would get in and then ride that. I really can't use these blue lines, my pink and blue lines, because when it comes to a Momo stock, these things can flush down hard and then flush up hard. So, I would pretty much try to gauge it. So with these cheap stocks, buying them at $3.94, you can buy a lot of shares, a couple hundred shares if you can afford it, and then, ride it for like maybe 15-20 cents because this is as much as it's going to move, to be honest with you. I mean, so from the base of this candle 394 to the top of this wick of 441. I mean, you know. No, I don't use the. I try to use these lines, my lines that I base my entries on when I'm trading. But with the normal stocks, they don't really work that well. One, the float on these things normally pretty low, like 10 million, 20 million, and a free float is the amount of shares that are out for us to trade. Traders like you and I. So the lower the float, the higher the volatility, the massive upswings one could have. So say you have a $10 million float, or about 10 million float. Just say this is 10 million. This thing is trading beyond that. So those 10 million is rotating back and forth from each seller, each buyer. And with such a low float and such a cheap stock, you can see the level 2, the sellers and the buyers range from 20, 30, 40, and these things go by the hundreds. So if you see on your level 2, you see an exchange saying that it's like 1, that means it could be in the hundreds. This guy bought 100, 200, 300, 400, whatever. The higher it goes, starts becoming in the thousands. And that's what these low float stocks do. You see a lot of these on pre-market. Like here on the ass is 164. That's a massive amount. So this thing could drop pretty soon. Although that was on the ask. So yeah, so this thing could fly up. But the other strategy that my friend does is, his strategy basically is, so depending on where the stock is at, I think he'll put like maybe 4 or 5 cents above a trigger to buy 4 or 5 cents above, as these things tend to move up hard. They'll do oof, oof like that. Let me actually show you instead of making these stupid noises. So he'll put a trigger, say maybe, so it's right here at this level, so he'll put maybe like 5 cents above, and knowing that stocks tend to do this, go oof, and then back down. As you see all these wicks, that's what that is. And in any Momo stock, you're going to see massive wicks. Massive wicks. Look at this wick everywhere. You'll barely see a full body. You'll see a full body here. That was the bulls. So the bulls are obviously winning the battle on this stock. There's no news on this thing at all. I'm telling you why this thing is moving. I mean,
it's a good thing. It's certainly a good thing for candidates, but some Republicans don't necessarily see it that way.
Nothing at all. So, trading Momo stocks needs to be a recent catalyst. There should be. I'm not saying that you shouldn't trade it. If you want to go into Momo stocks, those are the two strategies that one I did and one my friend does. And, it worked for me a little bit, but the stress was too much. It worked for him. I think he still does it. He's been making money with it, so I don't see why he would stop.
That we're seeing from both parties, but especially for Democrats, pushing them both as a package deal, saying it's crucial that both of them win for Democrats.
The stress, just the stress. That's why I don't touch him anymore.
Politics this morning, and I know, Blaine, you're going to be living that beat for the next 4 or 5 weeks now. I appreciate you joining us on the show.
I wanted to jump back to Jeremiah to tell you why I sold it and why it was a good idea to sell it. Why support and resistance is very important, as I keep preaching. So it had a hard time breaking that level of the dotted line that I have here. This dotted line right here. Okay, let me change the color so you can see that. So I don't know. We'll go with maybe a bright green, right?
So I am excited about President Obama even virtually being here in Georgia.
The dotted green line is where I was having trouble way back over here. So you gauge the whole chart, right? So you got in here what I got in right here on this candle. Okay. and it was riding this up. One, my lines were about to come into play here. They already came into play here. But so I was anticipating this run for a couple of reasons. One, it had already broke support from yesterday. It's already at the oversold on the deviation lines. It was already breaking through that RSI oversold line for it to go up as what it did. I mean, and when I got in, so I made what? 31 cents. 31 cents on that. Knowing that this is more or less a $1.50 mover, it could move more than that at times. But when it's doing something like this, 30-40 cents, I think that it's appropriate. I only got 4 shares. I was able to get. I wasn't itching to get into a different trade, but because this was it's a good stock, and it was already at oversold, I decided to jump in it.
We're going to chart the course here in Georgia. Leadership sets the tone.
Hold on. Are you serious? Wow.
We have seen there's been no empirical evidence of voter fraud.
Man, I own Boeing long term. I bought it at $155. It was $155 when I bought this. $156 in my long term account. It is up. It was up at $244. I was going to put a trailing stop on this. If I did, I would have sold already. More or less at the high, but I think I'm going to keep it. Vaccine. This is one stock that definitely, I think I'm going to start trading this daily apart from, because this thing's starting to move whole dollars, baby. I mean, look at this run. Hold on, let me get rid of this. From what, 228, let's call it, to 241. God damn. That's insane, man. And then today, as it starts to curl back up, let's make these candles a little bit bigger. So pretty much just went sideways at that point, and now it's starting to curl up. So right now, Boeing is good to get into. If I had the capital to get into this, I would get into it right now, I'll be honest with you. Boeing is going to jump. Look at this massive drop, about a $14 drop. I think this will go up $3 easy from this point on right now. Vaccines in play. Boeing is an airline stock, is a good stock. It's a strong stock. Fuck, they make the planes for everybody, man, so. Alright guys, so I'm done for the day. I see some of you guys already sold.
Learn from the November election how that draws into what you're trying to do come January.
I mean, we have always known that we're the backbone of the Democratic Party.
I would buy Boeing if I had it right now.
We know that it's going to take all of us to get through this and to be victorious on January 5th. I'm the first black woman ever to...
If you've already made a trade and you've made your money, I will probably just walk away. The purpose of that is to learn to not feed into your FOMO. So until you get a good understanding of support resistance and why the stock is selling off, was it because it just flew up for 2 days and now it's cooling off? Is it good to get into? Once you start learning all these things, then maybe take more trades. But before you start making more and more trades and possibly cutting your gains by half or more, learn what the stocks are doing and why they're doing them. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, but with everything to our fingertips, the news, the charts, everything that can tell you a good story. So Boeing is up for the 5 days, but we take a look at what this was, where this was at. I mean, this was a $400 stock at one point. Well, $355. That's where it was at.
people find a Medicare
it has time to get back up there.
So if you're looking for yours,
And the high of the 180 chart, it's currently right there. But we know, so we see that it's, so what it's doing right now, it's rejecting that 239 mark, because as we can see months ago, it got up there, it traded lower. But this whole run right here is the vaccine news. So
give us a call. Our licensed Hello Medicare agents are here
now that I
to
see
make
that,
things easy and help guide you to a plan that fits your needs. Because we get it, finding the right Medicare plan can be challenging. Plans
so
can differ
let's
by
see right
price
here,
or benefits.
228.
They can even
Where does
differ
that
by
take
where you
us?
live. That's why we're here. To put it all together and be your go-to place
Alright.
where all the latest information laid out right in front
It's
of
still
you.
early.
In a way that's easy to
The volume was obviously dissipated just a little bit,
so we can
as it normally does around this time.
questions like, do you want to keep your doctor?
I don't know, man.
Benefits are important to you.
I think it'll move up $3, but it might, if I had to gauge it, I would say,
Giving you a complete
if you were to get into this right now, being that it's having a hard time breaking this resistance mark right here,
we'll sign you up. Done and done. Remember,
that being the level of support, it's having a hard time breaking that. So from this point right here, 235 to 236, what a dollar. I see.
Call us today and speak with one of our
I think it'll break
licensed
that.
Hello Medicare agents. Hello Medicare.
But I don't know.
Say hello to an easier way to do Medicare.
Apple. Oh shit, Apple's on there. I also own Apple long term. It's in my long term account.
Flexible enough to adapt to any size business, no matter what it does or how it
Wow,
changes.
Apple dropped massively.
And we kept going, so you only pay for what you use. Because at Dell Technologies, we stop at nothing.
Mornings were made for better things than rheumatoid arthritis. When considering another,
I don't trade Apple daily. I mean, it's not even on my watch list. I don't, although I should add it, to be honest with you. 'Cause, I mean, I love Apple. Apple's a strong company.
swelling, stiffness, and help stop further joint damage.
It's, you know, it's only moved
Can lower your ability to fight infections.
like 30 cents from this low right
Your
here.
doctor should check for infections like TB and do blood tests. Tell your doctor if you've had hepatitis.
Now, Apple, in the first 30 minutes, Apple can move. Look, this was today. Let's look at yesterday.
Taking a higher than recommended
So as we see here that it found a support level right here at 223, but got, so you would have got in there anyway, because your line told you to get in there. You know, you would have got in there. And then from 220, stay 223 to 223.26, like a 50, you know, 50 cents move right there. So this is the thing. I mean,
putting that country on course to start vaccinations.
Apple, day trading Apple is not bad. I mean, you can buy a lot of shares of this, and seeing that this is like $1 mover, but on average it's like 80 cents, 90 cents mover. Apple takes a while to get to a $2, $3 mark during the day, in the day trading. Like 222, 223, 223. I mean, you know, there you go. There's the dollar that it moved up, and then it went up higher than that. Yeah, it's $1. It's $1 mover, man.
Joining me now is NBC's Dasha Burns at Duke University Hospital, where they're trying to figure out those logistical hurdles to try and get their staff vaccinated.
So the reason I trade large cap stocks with a small account is because of the massive moves that it does. So as you can see, I bought 2 shares of Zoom today. I sold it at a $5 upswing. Okay.
Socially distanced away. They have about 10 of them here. They'll be able to move people through here.
Did it hit my mark?
Now, the the shot itself only takes about a couple of minutes. But then with this vaccine, there's a 15 to 30-minute monitoring period. So this will be an area where people will be able to wait, be monitored in case they have any side effects. And that is likely to happen to some people with this vaccine. This room is placed nearby the hospital because, Hallie, the people who first, they're going to be
buying this at
now are taking care of COVID patients, and many of them are going to have to go straight.
Buying this where I bought it at.
And this room, this is just a
And I bought it at 410,
that has to play in perfect harmony.
and then sold it right over here.
We talk about these ultra.
Where did I sell it at? I sold it right here.
Yesterday, they're coordinating
at 4. What did I sell this at? I don't remember. My flags are not popping up on this. I don't. 4:30.
Remain over when they're going to get the supply, how much they're going to get, how often they're going to get it, and there's so much planning.
Right. So I bought this at 410. I sold it at 415. So it's a $5 on that. Made $10 on it. 2 shares. Now imagine you can buy more shares, you know, of this. That price keeps going up and up. So I take these base hits with everything in mind. One, I have 2 shares. I know this thing moves on $3 on average. It can move more than that because it's been doing that as of late. So you take all that into consideration. It dropped about $73 from the high. There's nothing but good news on it. It had good earnings. The pandemic is still in play. Even when the pandemic is all said and done, it's over. Vaccines in play. We are going to see more people out and about. Everybody's died to go out and about. But I do think that it's changed us for good. Meaning, these tech stocks are going to come into play huge more than they already are. Like, you know, EV cars, the charging point companies, everyone's going EV now. Zoom, Adobe, Nvidia, they all have good stuff that's preparing them for what's to come after the pandemic. I mean, there was always conference calls with Zoom or more Teams with Microsoft and whatever other platform. But Zoom is still their play. Once the vaccine starts, once they announce people in line for vaccines, I think Zoom will drop significantly, but not too much. But as of right now, you take a look at the whole picture. Being that you have a small account, you trade stocks that move $3 or more. You can buy. So if a stock is $200 and it moves $3-4, you can buy more with a $1,000 account than you can this stock. It's a $400 account. So you buy 4 shares. You sell it $5 up. That gives you a decent base hit, and then you start building your capital from there, and then you buy more shares. Now, you should diversify when you have these stocks. Like, look for stocks that move $3 or more. I'm pretty sure there are a lot more. I used to like to, oversaturate my watch list and have way too much to look at. I used to watch like 5-6 stocks at the same time, and that created a bunch of FOMO. You learn as you go. The reason I like to preach all this stuff is because to learn from the mistakes that I made.
While we answer the remaining scientific questions regarding how long the protection from the vaccine lasts, when we can employ it in pregnant women or children.
I just wanted to come back to Zoom because, as we can see here, it's having a hard time breaking that 412. So you can see here, it's back at it right now. So that's the level of resistance that it's having a hard time breaking.
There's some parts of this that I think.
So me buying it right here, 410, and then going all the way to 415 was beautiful. It's a beautiful run right there. I don't regret getting in on the first candle. Everything said to get in. All my lines were underneath it. I knew it was probably going to pop down for a little bit, but being that it was already at support, I was comfortable with my decision of getting in there. Everything said to get in. The crossover on the skull, the crossover from the 50 trend line going up. my lines being underneath it, it already being at support, being that is the level of support that it's having a hard time going through. As you can see, it went through it at this brief moment here, went back up, and then it's currently going back to that resistance. So yeah, man, dollar movers, man. I mean, three or more dollar movers. I have quite a few of them. I have just pop it up for you real quick. So this is my current list right here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I don't count Jeremiah or DK&G on there as $3 or more movers.
This morning, a very busy week of coronavirus updates.
They can do that, which is why I have them on this in particular list. So that's what I have on there for that list. But on my other list for dollars or more movers, meaning they move $1 on average, sometimes a little more, I have a little bit more.
We're also watching something else happening on the Hill.
You know what? I see DK&G on this one. Let me go ahead and remove it from this one.
To vote on a bill that would decriminalize pot at the federal level and pave the way to erase non-violent marijuana convictions. It comes after 5 more states voted to legalize it, and it's something advocates.
Now that we have it on here, it sold off yesterday. After it go popping up, and then it's just sold off, and then boom, look at that. So I mean, if we take a look at today's run, I mean, let's see. So this being the level of a low, that it went down, up, and then breaking it again. Did the same thing here. I mean, you would have got in here on the top of this candle. 50. 50.93. You see, it's $1, man. That's all it does. You see this move here, and like, oh my God, look at that massive move. But that was like 93 cents. I mean, well, maybe $1 from this low point. Yeah, $1 from that low point to that, it's $1. But you take a look at Shop, for example.
What that tells you is that wherever you go in this country,
take a look at Shop's move today.
Urban state, rural state, voters are ready for legalization.
More states are hoping to capitalize financially on what others like Oregon have.
That's a less impressive move by the looks of it. But it moved way more from that low. Look, from this low at 1060 all the way to the high of this 280. That's $20, man.
The tax revenue perspective, I think it's had a very, very positive effect.
So you see, like, I have the dollar moves down here, like, you know, I look at them every day. You should look at your watch list every day. You want to be a successful trader, you need to look at your watch list every day. You build a watch list as you go. You bits and pieces from people that you chat, you know, in the chat rooms. I've been part of like 4 chat rooms. Then, you know, you want to be a part of a Facebook community, one that you can see like everyone's you know, participating and sharing what stocks they're looking at and stuff like that. Never really take the advice of those people. Not that their advice is bad or good, but read what it says. If someone's looking at a stock and it's on in a chat room or a Facebook page that you're a part of, why are they talking about it? Why are they saying this? Do your own research, and then determine whether it's a good fit for you to trade that day. You know. So I'm gonna sign off real quick, but I was just looking at a few stocks. Like I was looking at Twilio, because Twilio had a nice run yesterday. After selling off, I mean, this thing went up yesterday. Quite. It made a nice run yesterday. Was this yesterday? This is yesterday. So you can see it took about 39 minutes to reach that, which is perfect. It's in our wheelhouse right there. Everything's set to get in right here. So at 323, this thing went to 333. It's a $10 run. You see, these things move $3 or more on average, man. But after signing off today, I don't see any recent news on why this thing sold off today.
He says China's efforts include human testing to help develop soldiers with those biologically enhanced capabilities. And that is why, of all things, we are talking about super soldiers right now. With me now is Ken Delaney, who covers national security and intelligence for NBC News. Ken, really? How real is this? How far along is this?
This is going down for the sympathy of that Salesforce thing.
It does seem like it's right out of a Hollywood plot.
This being a software company.
Intelligence official says that the U.S. has evidence that China.
So again, look. So you build your watch list. So I see Twilio was a stock that I never heard of until a friend of mine traded it one day, and he put me on it. So you get bits and pieces. You can obviously take my watch list. It's in the chat room. And based off that, you can but you can trade whatever you like. Obviously, I send over my picks every night. At least I try to. If not, that next morning, I try to go live for you guys. You can see, I'm not painting you a Mona Lisa on this at all. So
this is the kind of thing
you see those commercials or those ads. I made I turned $500 into $1 million in 1 year, and blah. And then you buy the course for for a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand, and then it could work, it could not work. I'm not saying courses don't work. I took a course that worked. It helped me, but it basically helped me with everything that I understand now. Like, it did elevate my game, but I added on to it on my own way. Real deal is this, man. Everyone starts somewhere. So you guys are starting to trade. You want to make a couple hundred, more than that, as you see most of these traders on these ads, what they do, but it takes time to get there, especially if you're just learning, you just went through the Sims, you were profitable on the Sims, now you're trading with real money. Take these base hits, understand the charts. If it went south for you at one point, was it your mistake? Was it that the setup was there but it just went down? You take a look at all these things.
So when I heard about the applied digital skills courses, I'm thinking.
And let me take this VWAP off. I don't use this VWAP.
To be great at this. These are skills lots of people can learn.
I feel hopeful about
so,
the future now.
I'm not saying to never trade more than once, or more than twice, or more than 3 times in a trading session. You can very well do that. I mean, all the setups are there for you. You need to have the right setup for it. I myself have this oversold scanner that I scan and refresh every now and again. And then maybe, day trade one of these if I've already made money. And say, my limit or my goal for the day is a certain amount of money, and I'm short that by maybe $100. Maybe I'll look at something here, and if everything tells me to get in, Plantier's on here, and I actually like Plantier. It's a stock that a lot of people are raving about right now. And I'm liking the fact that it did sell off, because Plantier is something I'm thinking about trading maybe Monday. If it can maintain this sell-off right here, I don't see any news saying why.
Cars out of warranty, those repairs can really add up. The good news is CarShield helps take care of
why it's selling off. But we can see here that it does tend to move pretty nice as of late. I mean, it is a cheaper stock, so I wouldn't mind maybe a 50-80 cents move. So we can see here this being the support that it bounced off of yesterday at 23.52 to a high of 24.71. So that's a $1 move. So this is actually better. And then it kept going higher than that. I mean, look at that. Very nice, man. Actually, I'm going to add this to my list down here.
Listen to your boy Ice-T and let CarShield save you from expensive repairs. You're welcome. Call CarShield now before your car breaks down.
There we go.
Remember, CarShield cars go farther.
Yeah, so you build your watch list, and small accounts. You can make probably the same. I mean, you probably make more in a momentum stock with a low account. but the probabilities of you losing money are more than you making money if you don't have the strategy for that. You know, you need to have a good strategy for it. You can't just jump in like that. You know, I mean, obviously buy low, sell high, which is the game plan with the stocks, but momentum stocks are not something I trade anymore. You can do what you want. If you want to trade normal stocks, I highly suggest that you go in, you go on demand, find whatever momentum stock going back from whatever, and then test out strategies until you figure out one that works for you, and then you can make your money with normal stocks. But for now, I'm going to be trading just these large cap stocks, and you'll see. So we'll keep this small account challenge going. Probably.
Dexcom puts you in control, not your diabetes.
Probably for the whole year, to be honest with you. We'll see where we're at. So we started in November, so we'll tack on 2 more months from that. I'll be doing this every single day with you guys.
To speak at this critical moment for millions.
I did order a gaming laptop.
The day after Christmas.
I ordered a gaming laptop and some Asus screens to go on the side of those laptops. So whenever I have to trade outside of my trading station, I have a decent mobile trading session to trade off of.
The unemployment rate edged down to 6.7%.
All right, guys. So we did finish today. Let me load this up before I go, so you can see. Full transparency, guys. I'm not sugarcoating anything. We're making 3 to 10 bucks, 11, 13, 15, 20. It'll go higher and higher from there. We keep following the rules, following our strategy. We can definitely make some good money, build up our capital.
Got you there with my colleague Savannah Guthrie. It comes as we just
this is how I did it.
For COVID-19 deaths again.
Obviously, I have a lot more knowledge than I did previously.
On Thursday. And a new CDC projection says we could see up to nearly 20,000 COVID-19 deaths in the week of Christmas alone. We're going to start on Capitol Hill, where Speaker Pelosi is expected to give us an update on where things stand.
All right, guys. Trade review.
Coronavirus relief at any moment.
December.
NBC's Garrett Hake is standing by on the Hill for us.
That's where I am right now. Green for the month of December. And we've made about 24, 25 bucks so far. So, this will keep getting higher. As you can see that daily they're getting higher and higher. Maybe one day they'll drop back down to 5 or 6, but then maybe the goal is to get these days to go higher and higher as we go. So we're going to see if we can make December a very strong month and keep making our capital go up and up with the right strategy. All right. All right, guys. I'm done for the day. Those of you that made money, awesome. Those of you that are holding, is anyone holding anything right now?
Political talking points, at least for the moment, with 1 week to go, really, in terms of getting this done before government funding runs out, shows the seriousness of it. When Pelosi takes the mic today, the thing that I'm looking to hear from her, does she view this $908 billion package that's been negotiated by this bipartisan group as a floor, as in they will go no lower than that number, or a ceiling, that they can go no higher than that number? A lot of Republicans would be scared off if they get that number above $1 trillion, but if it stays in the
I'm glad you got out of that,
if that's something she's comfortable with, we could really be looking at
I don't know if it's going to go any higher than what it's at right now, to be honest with you.
Right, that's my sense too. That one.
I knew it was going to go up today, but look, it took
these last-minute negotiations play out.
It took almost an hour and a half
we're waiting for Pelosi to
just to reach $1, man.
Focusing here on COVID.
A little over $1.
Talking to people who really need help. This pandemic has been so long and so hard for so many families.
Some of these stocks move $1 or $2, but sometimes it takes them 30 minutes or more to get to that. So you really need to pinpoint your entry real nice. Like ADP was beautiful. It opened right here. I would have got in right here in this candle at 172, and then probably would have sold it here at 173. So getting here, so about a dollar move right there. The reason I would have sold there is because it already had a hard time breaking it. It tried to approach that level multiple times as it popped up to it, and then came back down, and then went back up over it. I mean, you know, what you do is, what I do is I look at the stocks, and I want to see what they move in the first 30 minutes. So that's when I said they move three or more dollars on average. Mostly in the first 30-40 minutes they do that, and then later on they can either go up more or go down more, but not by much. They shouldn't, unless there's something that breaks out telling us why, some news. But you know, like Baba, W, Shop, Zoom, NVAX, you know, these stocks tend to move quick in the first 30 minutes. Nvidia can do that as well, but not by much though. I mean, Nvidia normally does it on a good day; it'll do it, but normally Nvidia it starts to go up. It takes time to go up, you know, a massive amount. But you know, one just opened up way too high for me yesterday. But as you can see here, what it see 541 to 546. So about a $5 move in literally like 6 minutes.
Losing their ability to pay for their mortgages and rent, visiting food shelves. These stories are so very common, and the number that really represents that.
I'm actually liking Nvidia for tomorrow or Monday. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. I'm gonna leave up on here is Shop. Is Shop's starting to sell off. I'm liking Shop as well for as a reminder for me to look at for next week. Guys, it's been awesome. I'm glad you guys are making money, learning the strategy. Those of you who want to venture off into Momo stocks, I'm not saying not to do it. You can do it. More than welcome to do it. Just, you know, make sure you study a good strategy for that. The two I suggested, one was mine, one was a friend of mine's. He does that, so you guys can do what you like. Make sure you study the chart, though. You know, study everything. Momo stocks are tricky.
I think it's an incredibly important reminder to have those voices from people who.
Yes, Ross is a phenomenal trader. I mean, insane. He's probably the Momo stock king. The way he trades is like being, you know, at the Grand Canyon and just standing over the edge of it and looking down like over a cliff. I mean, it can cause a lot of anxiety. This guy can lose 30 grand in one day and bounce back the next, make that back, and then some the very next day. It's insane. It really is. I have high expectations for myself, but I don't foresee myself ever trading with that caliber and losing that much money in one day. I'll go nuts. I'll go nuts. I can make hundreds to a couple thousand a day doing this. Raising your shares, raising your capital, buying more shares of the capital that you're going to be able to afford as you again build up your capital and trade these Momo stock or these large cap stocks. Alright guys, so I've been on here for quite some time. I made my money a long time ago. So recap real quick. Let's see why these flags aren't popping up for me. Let's see if we can get them up here real quick.
And at the same time, simultaneous with that, we're working on the COVID package. And On Wednesday.
All right, so I bought on the first candle. I gave it some time to fluctuate. We were literally talking about not buying on the first candle, but everything told me to get in, so I got in. And then we sold right here in the tip of this candle, literally on the very tip. I mean, it reached right there. That trigger was beautiful. 6 minutes. In and out in 6 minutes, guys.
We have a new dynamic.
That's awesome. Thumbs up. Alright, guys. I will send my picks for Monday, Saturday, maybe Sunday. I'll probably do a video on that to give you guys a good understanding of what I'm looking at. And we're good. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys on Monday morning.
Quantity needed and the money needed to go from vaccine from the lab.